What if I told you there's something in Lake Superior that drags ships to the bottom and never lets them go? November 10, 1975, 7:10 p.m. Captain McSorley's last words crackled over the radio. We are holding our own. 5 minutes later, the Edmund Fitzgerald, the largest, most powerful ship on the Great Lakes, vanished. All 29 crew members disappeared with her into Lake Superior's icy depths. No distress call, no mayday, no survivors. Then, Canadian singer Gordon Lightfoot wrote a haunting ballad that made the disaster legendary. His song climbed to number 2 on the Billboard charts and turned an unknown shipwreck into a cultural phenomenon. But here's what will haunt you. 50 years later, we still don't know what took her down. Was it the legendary Three Sisters monster waves that swallow ships whole? Did she hit something lurking beneath the surface? Or did Lake Superior itself claim her, as the old sailors say it always does? This is the mystery that refuses to die. When the Edmund Fitzgerald launched on June 8, 1958, she was a monster 729 feet of steel, the biggest object ever dropped into fresh water. They called her the Queen of the Lakes, the pride of the American side, but she was more than just size. Inside she was a floating palace, leather chairs, carpeted lounges, tiled bathrooms. Captain Peter Pulser would pipe music over the speakers as she passed through locks, entertaining thousands of spectators. The Fitz wasn't just a cargo ship, she was a celebrity. For 17 years, she hauled taconite or iron pellets from Minnesota to Detroit. She set records, broke her own records, and sailed through storms that would terrify most captains. Captain Ernest McSorley, with 44 years on the Great Lakes, commanded her final voyage. He'd seen it all, or so he thought. By 1975, the Fitz was scheduled for retirement. She'd been worked hard, sailed hard, pushed to her limits. Some say she was tired. Others say Lake Superior was waiting for one more chance. The old sailors have a saying, Lake Superior never gives up her dead when the skies of November turn gloomy. It's not superstition, it's a warning. November 9, 1975. The Edmund Fitzgerald departed Superior, Wisconsin with 26,116 tons of taconite pellets. 29 men aboard. One final run before winter shut down the shipping season. Another ship, the Arthur M. Anderson, followed behind. Her captain, Bernie Cooper, stayed in radio contact with McSorley. The weather forecast warned of a storm, but nothing unusual for November. Both captains had weathered worse. By November 10th, everything changed. Winds screamed to 70 miles per hour. Waves built to 25 to 35 feet, some say higher. Snow and spray turned visibility to zero. The ships fought through what sailors call November witches, the deadliest storms on the Great Lakes. At 1 p.m., McSorley radioed Cooper. I have a fence railed down, 2 vents lost, and a list. I'm checking down. Will you stay by me till I get to Whitefish? A fence railed down? That's the protective railing on deck, built to withstand anything. If that was gone, something terrible had happened topside. At 3:30 p.m., we're rolling badly, lost both radars. The Fitzgerald was sailing blind in the worst storm in years, unable to see where she was going. At 4:10 p.m., Cooper's radar showed the Fitz heading straight toward Caribou Island, Zest's deadly shoals shallow water that has torn the bottom out of ships before. He tried to warn McSorley, but the Fitzgerald had already changed course at the last second. Had she hit bottom? Was her hull torn open? McSorley didn't say. At 7:10 p.m., Cooper radioed one last time. Edmund Fitzgerald, how are you making out? McSorley's tired voice. We are holding our own. At 7:15 p.m., the Edmund Fitzgerald disappeared from radar. Cooper called again. Silence. Again, nothing. The largest ship on the Great Lakes had vanished like a ghost. The Coast Guard launched the biggest search operation in Great Lakes history. Ships, planes, helicopters scoured Lake Superior all night. They found debris. Life jackets, oil, pieces of a lifeboat, but no survivors. No bodies. No SOS had ever been sent. 4 days later, Navy planes detected something on the lake bottom, 17 miles from Whitefish Point. Underwater cameras went down. What they saw was impossible. The Edmund Fitzgerald had broken into two massive pieces, lying 530 feet down. The bow section sat upright, as if still sailing. The stern section lay upside down, 170 feet away. But here's what terrified investigators. The middle 200 feet of the ship, the entire midsection had disintegrated. Gone. Scattered across the lake bottom like it had exploded. What force could do that to 13,000 tons of steel? All 29 crew members were gone. Their bodies remain with the ship to this day. Lake Superior kept them, just like the old sailors said it would. In 1995, divers recovered the ship's 200-pound bronze bell. They replaced it with a replica bearing the names of the 29 lost crew. The original bell now sits in the Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum as a memorial. It's illegal to dive the wreck now. The Edmund Fitzgerald is a grave, protected by law. 50 years later, 3 questions haunt everyone who studies this disaster. Question 1. What broke the ship in half? The theory, the 3 sisters. Old sailors swear by it: 3 massive waves that hit in rapid succession. The first wave buries the bow. Before the ship recovers, the second hits. Then the third. Each wave pushes the bow deeper until it plunges underwater and never comes back up. Monster waves over 35 feet high, one after another, until the Fitzgerald couldn't take it anymore. She dove to the bottom and broke apart from the impact. Question 2. Did she hit Caribou Island? Radar showed the Fitzgerald came dangerously close to shallow water. Some experts believe she struck bottom, tearing open her hull. For 3 hours, water slowly flooded in. By 7 p.m., the ship suddenly plunged. Captain McSorley's report of a list supports this. She was taking on water. Question 3. Did the cargo hatches fail? In 1989, divers found evidence that some hatch clamps were damaged. If even one hatch broke open, thousands of gallons of water would flood directly into the hold. The taconite ore would turn into cement. The ship would get heavier and heavier until she couldn't float. McSorley reported vents lost damage on the top deck. If the vents were gone, maybe the hatches were compromised too. The truth? It might be all 3A.